star. Might win an Oscar, you can never tell. The movie's gonna make me a big star.
Welcome to Meet Me in the Movies right here at Cleveland Community College's C19 TV. We appreciate you hanging out with us because dang it, we just love movies. We really do. That's why it's called Meet Me at the Movies. Noel Tillman in the second here, hanging out with a good friend who came all the way from the beautiful Green Acres of Hooterville, Mr. Oliver Wendell Douglas. Thank you, man. Good to see you.
I feel like him often. I didn't know where you were going with that. You threw me with that good friend thing.
Craig Tillman.
It's always a pleasure to be here, Noel.
Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Over to my right, we've got some power issues with the monitor. But
I forgot to pay the power bill. I'm sorry. I only made a partial payment, and you see what happened.
This is Zane Gray, student film critic. We appreciate you, Zane. Thanks for being here, man.
Thanks for having me. It seems as every time I come, it's always raining.
Yeah, there's always something going on.
Symbolic, right?
Thank you. I appreciate that.
There's a lot going on in the world of film, and we've got about 12 movies to try to push in here today. Last week, we were going to talk about Albert Finney's death. We did not get a chance to do that, but he did pass away. 82 years old, had a chest infection, and just a strong, long line of films. We didn't get a chance to talk about those, but I will throw out one of my favorites, Big Fish. Throw out a favorite of yours.
I loved his small role in the Skyfall.
Okay.
One you've never heard of called Looker.
Looker.
It was a Michael Crichton directed film in the early 80s. Didn't make any money.
Yep.
But I just thought it was a cool little movie, and he was good in it.
Yeah, and my one of my family members and I went to see him in Wolfen, which was a werewolf film, and they never looked at werewolves the same way again. So Albert Finney, you will be missed. You will be missed. Last weekend at the theaters, at the box office, James Cameron, Robert Rodriguez film opened up, and we got a chance to have an early screening of that in IMAX and 3D.
IMAX 3D.
Alita Battle Angel is the name of this film, and Zane, I'm going to let you give a snapshot of the story, and then we'll kind of dive into how we feel about this.
Yeah,
did you check this out?
I did not. I'm not interested in it. Cameron needs to work with real people.
We'll try our best
Maybe
to
you
sell
will
it to
be.
you.
All right, give us the storyline.
So it's based off a very popular Japanese manga series, and basically in the gist of it, it focuses on our title character of Alita, who is this kind of dismembered body part. Something I don't.
What?
She's a human cyborg.
Human cyborg. She's in pieces in the beginning.
Dismembered body parts. That's
so basically,
this is a family film
it can be.
for the Manson family.
So her body is in parts, basically, is what I'm saying. And so in the beginning, we're introduced to a character by the name of Dr. Ito, played by Christoph Waltz, who finds her, builds her together, and then she realizes basically the entire movie is basically her trying to figure out where she came from, and then she realizes how powerful of a person she is, and there's almost becomes like this hunt to find her with characters like Jennifer Connelly's character and Mahershala Ali. It's basically the gist of it.
Yeah, it's Pinocchio meets the Terminator meets Rollerball meets Tron.
Wow.
Meets
Tron.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer. All those things rolled
I didn't
into
get
one.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer a while.
Well, because of the hunters.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it's got all of those things kind of thrown into one. I thought visually this movie was amazing. The bigger the screen, the better. 3D, I normally stay away from 3D films, but this one, better in 3D. Storyline, really average. The dialogue for me was kind of average.
Right.
But the characters and the sound design, the music, Junkie XL, Tom Hokenberg did the music for this as well. I thought, and the production designs, all of that technical stuff for this made the movie worth watching on the big screen. And I don't think if you watch it on a small screen, it's going to have the same impact.
Right. To echo what you said, as far as substance goes, I think Rosa Salazar as Alita was terrific, and I haven't really seen her really in anything since probably the Maze Runner movies. I know she had a small role in that, but she's great. Her journey from beginning to end was well worth the ticket of admission. Yeah, like Noel said, the visuals are great. I think 3D has also been a gimmick, like you said, and I think this is a movie that should be seen in IMAX 3D. Just it's much, you get more enticed into the world building that James Cameron and Robert Rodriguez have laid out for audiences. So yeah.
Yeah. And a shout out to my cousin Trey Brown. He worked on this film.
Oh, wow.
James Cameron, while James Cameron's known for 3D and for digital effects, has been for a long time, he worked with Peter Jackson's Weta Studios for all of the motion capture. And that's where my cousin Trey, who lives in New Zealand, got a chance to work on this film. Yeah, I think it's one well worth seeing, if for nothing else, just for the visual spectacular. And sometimes it's worth it for that.
Does it have an anime type feel to it?
You know, other than her character,
Just her, because some of the other characters had the visual robotic look to it, but their faces were real.
Yeah.
Rosa Salazar as Alita essentially was a fake character, but that was kind of an apprehension I had walking into this, if I was able to buy into the design of her. But as the movie progressed,
it didn't take long.
No, it didn't.
Yeah,
right?
it didn't take long for it to just feel part of that that fantasy world, part of that post-apocalyptic world. It really did kind of work. So I recommend it. I'm giving it a B rating.
I give it a B+.
Okay, all right, there you go. So have we changed your mind?
Maybe.
Maybe? Yeah.
See, it reminds me right off of Avatar. Probably no
Granted, 'cause-
correlation really,
Right.
except the director.
Yeah, and
But
well,
Avatar,
he's-
and I know it's the #1 movie of all time.
It
and
forever will
probably
be.
will be for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, it looked great, but
But you know,
it didn't blow me away.
Sometimes don't you think that's worth the price of admission just to see something
Yes.
that's
I mean,
visually breathtaking?
yeah.
And that's what this was visually, and also the sound design.
Was incredible.
If you go see a theater that's got really good sound design, because it will
If
draw
it's
you
something
in.
groundbreaking, something you haven't seen before,
Yeah.
I agree with that.
I would recommend it. I'd recommend it. There's another film that's out now. This is a couple years ago. There was a film called Happy Death Day that Jen Guberman actually did the review of. I guess it was
I
last.
thought you were going to say she was in it.
No, she did the review of that
Oh,
when it came
okay.
out, and you know, it's a Groundhog Day meets Scream, and it's a story of this really this female in college, and she's pretty much a jerk.
Pretty
I
much.
mean, she
Our house meeting?
I
everything.
think I
is-
dated her back in the
But
day.
everything is self-centered on her. I mean everything. And over the course of that first film, you see a character arc, you see changes happen, and she is killed on her birthday. That's the storyline, and she keeps reliving that same day over and over and over again. So there's this mystery of, okay, who is killing me? What do I need to change about myself to make it happen? So it's very much Groundhog Day. And so here we are with the sequel. The first one I really enjoyed. I gave it an A rating. I thought it was quirky. I thought it was fun. I thought it was different. It found a way to have some fun. And it's a Jason Blumhouse production. So limited budget. The sequel of this film was a $9 million budget, which made back its money opening weekend. Worldwide, $27 million on opening weekend.
So it's made a
So it's
profit.
made a profit. So give me your take on this film, Happy
So
Death Day to you.
it legitimately picks up right after where the first one's left off, and where you gave the first Happy Death Day an A, I probably gave the first Happy Death Day an B+. Whereas the sequel, I'd probably give it a solid A. I think this one, really, in all seriousness, is really like you said about Jessica Roth, if I'm saying
The
her name
actress.
correctly. She, again, is the center of this piece. And what I liked about Happy Death Day to You is they really add a science fiction element to it with the whole parallel universe. I won't get into spoilers of anything like that. It's funny when it needs to be. I found way more heart in this second one than the first one. And also, it's a really cool genre bender in how it plays off of gimmicks in horror movies that you've seen before. But even with both of them, I wouldn't necessarily say that they're really truly scary movies. The first one's probably way more scarier than the first one or than the second one. But just for whatever reason, I found myself really liking this movie way more than I originally anticipated, because I just had watched the first one 2 days before seeing Happy Death Day to You.
So is it a slasher picture or a
Well,
comedy
you know,
or
it's
both?
It could
It's
be.
both.
It's a mixture of both.
Yeah, I mean,
Is it better if you've seen other slasher movies?
I think if you've seen stuff
because
like-
I don't do a lot of slasher pictures.
I don't think you have to. I think it's one of those that, I mean, it plays in itself. I mean, you've got this, the mascot of this school is some crazy baby
Baby-face-looking thing.
you know, and so the killer's wearing the baby face.
Yep.
And you never know who that killer is until the end of the first one.
Right.
We're not going to give anything away here, but that first one really it's a mystery of her trying to
Right.
discover, okay, who's trying to kill me and
And
why.
that's what I'll say. I found the narrative in this one really surprisingly engaging,
Okay.
which is really a plus, because normally these kinds of movies just look like some throwaway pieces of horror. These two movies, I genuinely believe, are really well worth, on an entertainment level,
Yeah.
it's really, really great.
Yeah, and if you have not seen the first one, it is available. I mean, you can purchase it anywhere. but you can also buy it on like Google and Amazon for 99 cents. Or to rent, and so it's well worth that,
Right.
especially with this new one out. So what's your rating for Happy Death Day 2?
Happy Death Day 2 is going to get a solid A.
Okay, good deal, awesome. So intrigued?
That's
Or
two
not?
movies. we've
No, I
introduced.
have a birthday coming up in a couple of days. Yeah. I'm gonna pass.
No, man, do a double feature, dude. You got to check it out. Got to check it out. Well, we've got time to dive into another sequel that is also in theaters and just recently opened. The Lego Movie 2,
the second part.
The second part is now in theaters. Chris Pratt, Elizabeth Banks, Will Arnett, Tiffany Haddish, and tons of others offer their voices and other things to this sequel. The first film was a 2014 smash hit. It was much better if you're on medication, I think, because and wearing 3D glasses when you're watching that film, even if it's not in 3D, makes it really come
I'll
to life.
bet. I didn't see it in 3D.
So you didn't see the first one.
I didn't
I
see
did.
either Lego
I
movie.
did, but I didn't see it in 3D.
You know, the first one spawned the Batman Lego film,
Yeah.
Which is equally as good.
which was equally as good, and then also spawned another Ninja.
Lego Ninjago.
Yeah, which I did not see.
Which you don't need to.
Okay, but the first one was a hit. It was fun. It was goofy. It was just go for it.
Yeah, and I was gonna say it was a lot of fun. I didn't expect it to be, and to be honest, I didn't play with Legos that much when I was a kid. I played with
dare you.
Lincoln Logs.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that
well,
wouldn't make nearly as fun a movie, I don't guess. but I loved it. It was snarky. It was just clever. It was just, if you didn't like one joke,
right.
you know, 10
Stick
seconds
around.
later there's
Stick
another.
around.
one.
And-
And the new one's the same way.
Okay. So in the new one,
I know you're surprised, but I did see
Well,
it.
I am,
Yeah.
but you know.
Greg and I have seen the movie.
The first one, you know, Batman to me was the best. I mean, I loved the first one, but Batman was my favorite part.
Yeah.
Batman is my favorite part in this one as well. This one has a Mad Max
Max.
kind of feel to it.
Yeah.
It's you know,
Especially the opening scene.
especially the opening
Yeah.
scene. There's aliens, or are there aliens? There's you know, this is one of those films that's really hard to describe what the story is because it's in this kind of fantasy world.
Right.
So give me your take on.
I think
the
it breaks
Lego.
some of its own rules though here and there, but it's a Lego movie. Who really cares? Chris Pratt, all the voice character, Elizabeth Banks, I think, right? Too?
Yep.
Everyone's top notch in it. Will Arnett again as Batman. Just visually striking.
Yeah.
The only downside to it over the first one, I think, was not in so much in the script or the laughs. It just didn't have the freshness the first one did.
Yeah.
And it can't help that.
Right.
It's a sequel.
Right.
It's something we have seen now.
Yeah, exactly.
I loved it. And to be honest, I wasn't excited about going. I thought, I haven't seen a movie to contribute anything on this show in a while. I'm going to go see it. So I went last week and saw it. And I hung around in the lobby and talked to the manager for a few minutes and took my sweet time going in because I just didn't think I was going to get into it for some reason. And in about 2 minutes, I was all into it. It was great. I loved it.
Yeah, it was a heck of a lot of fun.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on it?
I kind of what Greg was saying. I really felt as if Lord Miller's stamp of approval was missing out of this. I still really like this movie, but I think the energy that the first one had, and even the Lego Batman movie, was missing in this one just a tad little bit. The voice work from Chris Pratt, Elizabeth Banks, Will Arnett is totally there. That's awesome for the sake of the movie. But in terms of the energy and just the fast-paced energy that the first Lego movie had, I felt like this one was kind of missing it a little bit.
Yeah, and also coming on the heels of, really this is the third, when you look at the Batman film, kind of in the middle of that. And so, yeah, it does lose the freshness, but it still found it fun and engaging. And I loved the cameos, and I loved some of the other things they threw. When Aquaman was in it, and the guy who plays Aquaman
His voice,
did the voice of this. Also,
Willis.
Bruce
Willis,
Bruce
full of
Willis
cameos.
was in it
That was great.
as Bruce Willis. You know, Abe Lincoln was in it, not the original.
Not the
Abe
original.
Lincoln,
Oh,
but-
I don't think
but
that's
you know,
his
it
voice.
was just, it was, if you're looking for just an escape and just some time away at the box office and something fun really for the family. I think this is a fun family film. I'm giving it a B rating. You know, not as great as the first one or the Batman film, but Batman still had a lot of fun looking, because Batman almost gets married in this one, so it's
Yeah.
well worth watching for that and nothing else. What's your rating?
I'm also in the B range.
Same.
Okay, all right, there you go. We are, I'm Noel. We are not Noel.
Yes, you are Noel.
That's Zane.
We're Devo.
That is Greg. And I do apologize, Tim. We haven't even come to you.
Oh, Tim.
Tim Foster, they're on the Tim Cam. Tim's making it all happen. He was looking a little blue earlier, and he's still a little blue.
He's feeling better now. Though.
Yeah,
He's happy.
I'm sorry about that. Oh, you're feeling bad too. Yeah, I'm sorry that Valentine's date last week didn't work out for you. That's why he's a little blue. A little blue for that. We're going to take a break, take a little intermission right here on Meet Me at the Movies on C19 TV. What's the website if they want to check it out?
C19.tv.
Yep, and that's the
Can
video
it get
version.
any simpler?
It can't.
Can never
And
get
if you want to download the podcast, go to wg.org. Till next time. I'm sorry.
No,
We're going to take a break.
Calm
That's
down.
wishful. That's wishful thinking on the audience.
I know. And we will come back and talk about Liam Neeson's new film, Cold Pursuit, and also a remake of the Helen Hunt Mel Gibson film right after this.
Everything is awesome. Everything is cool when you're part of a team. Everything is awesome when we're living our dream. Everything is better when we stick together. Side by side, you and I gonna win forever. Let's party forever. We're the same. I'm like you, you're like me.
For many kids, just showing up to school is a challenge. Staying through graduation is even harder. So at communities and schools, we do just what our name says. Our staff brings a community of resources to meet each student's needs right in their school, doing whatever it takes to keep kids focused, so they see what we see, a bright future. Join in at communitiesinschools.org.
There's a new way to help save the environment while getting rid of your everyday waste. It's part of Shelby's new curbside recycling program. It's quick, easy, and something so simple that even little recyclers can help go green.
Single stream recycling makes it easy so we can all do our part and do the right thing.
Register at recycleshelby.com. Once you do that, you can roll these city-issued bins out to the curb. Don't worry, we'll take care of the rest. Recycle Shelby, it's the right...
Chef Paul Prudhomme once said, "You don't need a silver fork to eat good food." Well, on Cleveland County Kitchen, we don't have a silver fork, but we sure do serve up lots of good food. Hi, I'm Deborah Blanton. I hope you'll join me for the next Cleveland County Kitchen. Each month, we offer a complete farm-to-table experience. We visit local growers, we learn about nutrition, and wrap things up with wonderful meals prepared by our guest chefs. It's a lot of fun. I hope you'll join me for the next Cleveland County Kitchen.
Hi, I'm Paula Best from Cleveland Connections, the show that explores what's happening at CCC. Join us as we sit down with members of faculty and staff to discuss programs of study, upcoming events, and other campus news. Watch each month on C19 or streaming online at c19.tv. Join us and connect with CCC.
They're gonna put me in the movies. They're gonna make a big star out of me.
Welcome back to Meet Me at the Movies right here on C19 TV. I am Noel Manning II, hanging out with Mr. Greg Tillman. Greg Tillman over there beside camera something another. And we got Zane to my right, Zane Gray, and Tim Foster on the Tim Cam, making sure that we are all in check. Now, Tim, we're going to shake things up a little bit. We're going to talk about a movie, it's a remake, What Men Want. We're going to talk about that. Now, this movie is a remake of a film that goes back to 2000 with Oscar winners Mel Gibson and Helen Hunt. And that was a long time ago. I mean, 2018 years ago. And I've been told that you've dug up some photos from a few years ago.
Well, this all started a couple weeks ago when you were talking about painting your mustache.
Right.
And you're doing your confessional to your mother.
Yes, and my mom.
And you were nice enough, or stupid enough, to send along a picture of you from that age.
Yeah, there you go. Yep. Yeah. 14-year-old Noel.
Weren't you in Boogie Nights?
Yeah, 14-year-old Noel T. Manning II right
And
there.
I figured if you had no shame and were willing to share that, I could do the same.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
That's when I was on Sigmund and the Sea Monsters.
You look like a stand-in. You look
Johnny Whitaker.
look like an
Johnny
extra on
Whitaker.
Ferris
But
Bueller.
dig the shirt. That's the best part of that picture. Okay, we're done with that.
Oh, more.
That's Tim, by the way.
Tim. Oh, where's the Zane picture?
I don't have a
We don't have a
Zane.
Zane.
Got one
Well,
that's
yeah,
right here.
if we
He's too
showed you,
young
like,
to be embarrassed.
if
like
it was
we
like
are.
14, that's what, like 3 years ago,
Yeah.
4 years ago or
How
something.
much of a difference? The beard was probably different.
That's great. Well, this remake, the storyline is, what if you could read the minds of the opposite sex? And, once you start finding out the answers to what the others are thinking, sure, you can play it to your advantage, but ultimately problems can ensue. That was the Mel Gibson version. That's also the new version with Taraji P. Henson. This version also stars Richard Roundtree from Shaft,
Wow.
Tracy Morgan, and tons of sports stars are in this film. There's really great character chemistry in this one. This film also speaks to where the other one didn't, to racism and sexism, which we did see a little bit in the first one, but much more in this one. The original film was a PG-13. This one's R-rated for language, sexual content, and other subject matter. And honestly, this one is just as funny. I found myself laughing. I went into a theater, and the theater was 3/4 full. Everybody seemed to be enjoying it as well. So What Men Want, I'm going to give this a B rating. And just a little trivia, Mel Gibson got a Golden Globe for the original. Yeah, Golden
That's a
Globe
nice
win.
little rom-com, too.
It was. Any thoughts, questions?
No.
Okay. Appreciate that, man. Good stuff.
You're welcome.
Well, let's dive
Boy,
in.
I'm glad he's here.
Thanks for having me, Greg.
Well, Liam Neeson is back on the big screen as well, and another action film. This is not Taken 4, 5, or 6, but it does have some.
Are you sure?
I sure hope
It
not.
does have some elements of Taken in this. This is a film that takes place in the cold, frozen tundra of Colorado. To me, I felt this film, the way I described it, is the Coen brothers meets The Godfather meets Foreigners Cold as Ice, is the way I've thrown all this
that's a
together.
good way to put it.
It's a quirky mob revenge dramedy that really has two main stories going on. So dive in and give me the story in a nutshell.
Yeah, so basically, Liam Neeson plays this snow truck, what's it called?
Snowplow.
Snowplow driver.
That's what he's paid to do. He's paid to do that, and his wife, Laura Dern, they have the son, and his son gets involved with this drug bust. And spoiler, well, it's not really a spoiler, but it's in the trailer.
Yeah, he's not really, well, he's killed by drug dealers, but he's not involved in drugs.
Right, and so
Wrong
Liam
place,
Neeson-
wrong
Innocent
time.
bystander.
And his character is basically trying to figure out who killed his son, so he can get justice for his son.
It's a revenge picture.
So whereas he described it as a Coen Brothers meets Godfather, I described it as Wind River meets a Fargo, another Coen Brothers
exactly.
kind of movie. No, I liked it. It wasn't the best Liam Neeson flick I've seen in the last couple of years, but it's much better than the last two Taken sequels. That's for sure. It was revenge. I liked his performance in the movie. Stereotypical villains though, in terms of the mob gangster aspects. But I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I thought there were some great scene selections. This had a quirky feel. It was an action film, a gangster film, but there was some comedy. And that's where the Coen brothers feel came with this. Some really interesting musical choices throughout this film as well. Hateable Villain. Did you see this movie?
I saw it.
Oh,
So
you did
give me
see
your
it,
give me your take on this.
It was okay. Nothing I hadn't seen before. No character I hadn't seen before, really. I didn't think it was funny enough to really qualify even as a partial comedy. Maybe it was my mood at the time.
Okay.
And all the set pieces were put together very well. But again, just nothing new.
It was really kind of what I was expecting for this kind of movie.
Yeah, it was.
What rating would you give this?
C.
Okay.
A B minus.
Yeah, and B minus for me too, for Cold Pursuit. That is still in select theaters.
For the record, I've seen 2 so far.
You've done pretty well
You
this
seem
year.
surprised.
I
both
am
very
times.
proud of
I'm
you,
really
Greg.
surprised. New segment that we introduced with the Train to Busan a few weeks ago. It's All Foreign to Me. This is an Oscar-nominated film. The film is called Never Look Away. And really, it's a fascinating story of love, pain, endurance. It explores people finding their individuality and their personal truth within their past. And the movie is a German language film. It is subtitled, It's a period piece that takes place from early pre-World War World War II, all the way through the 60s. And so it's a really interesting take on what's happening in the Berlin area through a couple of characters and their connection to each other. There's a lot of great connections to art and the art history of Germany throughout that time period, which I thought was fascinating how they tied that in. The lead character is an artist, and you see how he goes from being free to express himself to being forced to do art for propaganda pieces to trying to find himself again in this kind of a free-spirited Berlin movement in West Berlin. And so it's a really fascinating film, beautifully shot, nominated for 2 Oscars, nominated for Best Foreign Language Film and Cinematography. The score was amazing. The production design really, really kind of blew me away, and it did capture, like I said, 3 decades of life from the early 40s through the 60s. And the attention to period detail really, really kind of blew me away. And if you're familiar with color theory and how color theory is used in art and how color theory is used in film, I haven't seen a film do it this well in a very, very, very long time.
The Germans kind of pioneered that back in the 20s.
Yeah.
Really.
Now, the movie, 3 hours and 9 minutes long.
Wow.
Very, very long film. And I got to say, really until about the 2.5 hour mark, I didn't feel that it was sluggish. So if you're interested in foreign language films, highly recommend this Oscar nominee, Never Look Away.
Are there Nazis in it?
Yes.
Well, I'm in then.
Okay. And they're not Nazis that you will find on the Indiana Jones film. Let's go to now streaming. I want to get you to talk about a TV show that you have really
Marvelous
grown to love.
Mrs. Maisel.
Yeah, tell me
on
about
Amazon
this. You
Prime.
really love this.
Just finished its 2nd season. What's her name? I can never remember her name.
Rachel
That plays-
Brosnahan.
And you met her, right?
Yes.
Last year?
Last year, yeah.
Tony Shalhoub stars in it. It's about a almost accidental rising of a New York housewife in the mid to late 50s to become a stand-up comedian. But it's terrific. The acting and the script is clever. And
The dialogue is amazing.
Yes, it's almost like a screwball comedy from the 40s in a lot of ways. And period detail is fantastic too. And I don't know this other guy's name that plays Lenny Bruce, but he's fabulous in it.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
well worth watching.
It's
I highly
winning all the
recommend it.
awards this year.
Yeah.
Emmys and
Yeah.
Golden Globes.
And last year, it started winning the award circuit during the Critics' Choice Awards.
Yeah.
And that's when buzz really started picking up. And so 2 seasons in, it's still
Just so
doing
much
well.
fun.
Yeah, heck of a lot of fun. So check it out, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Movie quote of the week, we'll wrap things up and then we're out of here. This comes from the forthcoming Pokemon film, Detective Pikachu. This is Ryan Reynolds playing Detective Pikachu. You know, this really kind of pulls all of us together.
Yay.
This pulls us together, okay? It's the magic that brought us here. It's the magic called hope. There you go. That's it.
How
Hope right
sweet.
here
How sweet.
on Meet
Detective
Me at the Movies.
Pikachu.
Detective Pikachu.
Yeah.
Pikachu.
Looks good.
Gesundheit. Until next time, I'm Noel Manning. That's Zane Gray. That is Mr. Greg Tillman. And back on the Tim Cam, Tim Foster. And our studio audience, we appreciate you hanging out with us as well, as always. Until next time, email us, info@c19.tv if you want us to stop doing this show. Until next time, that's a wrap.